There's a lot surrounding Expedition 33. One aspect is it only feels special if you're new to JRPGs. As someone who has played over dozens of turn-based games, I had to see for myself, does this game live up to the hype? And honestly, there's a lot going on here. An incredibly unique world almost straight out of a Salvador Dali painting. Silly, delightful humor like this.
Oh no. Think twice, Minako.
I have already thought about it thrice. Golgra, I demand a trial by combat.
Do I have to participate?
Please help me.
Satisfying strategic combat, a story that hooked me immediately with its high stakes, and of course, this man.
You were right about condolences. We offered them because we don't know what else to say, but there's no comfort there.
There's a lot going on here, but let's unpack that together for someone who's played a lot of RPGs and a lot of Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I'm excited to dive in because there's so much fun to be had talking about a new IP in the RPG genre.
The gamage is equally violent than death. Death is just as final.
I've been having nightmares.
You may be like me. The battle system does have a pretty big impact on how much you're going to enjoy a JRPG, but it's the world, the characters, and the story that keeps you going. World building doesn't have to be levels of cool like Xenoblade, where the entire world is living on these two giant titans, just a wild concept, and neither does it have to be as intricate and meticulously built like Trails in the Sky first chapter. But it does have to be intriguing. Within the first handful of hours, the world that Clair Obscur presents is believable, it's dark, and most of all, it's pretty darn magical.
How about a little Verso magic to lighten the mood?
You mean the one that hurts like hell?
Yes, I mean the one that hurts like hell.
Well, that's something I want to see right away to kind of tick the box of someone who's been on this dance before quite a few times. Not that being a protagonist waking up in a peaceful village is bad. If done right, it can be one of my favorites. Xenogears in particular does this masterfully well. It also had a crazy, intriguing opening cinematic that left you with questions. It's really all about how you deliver the goods in what order. And thankfully, Expedition 33 nails their world building. The premise alone is gripping. The paintress kills everyone of a specific age each year, written on this giant monolith out in the distance. You are Expedition 33, the next people up to die. So you fight back. Pretty simple, pretty cool, love it. It has a highly emotional beginning showing the effects of what the paintress does, followed then by an even higher emotional beginning from myself when we actually start our expedition. When I pull back and think about this initial setup to the story, it's a very intriguing jumping off point, which a fair bit of JRPGs struggle to get right. But even if I didn't have this strong hook, I'd forgive it because I give longer games a fair bit more before, hey, you go back on the shelf collecting dust on the backlog. Sometimes to be resurrected for another go, but Expedition 33 has such a striking style to its world that I was anticipating getting through the next dungeon just to see what the next area would look like. It didn't have time to go back on my shelf. The world itself is this surreal, otherworldly vibe that reminds me a little bit of the aesthetic of a Dark Souls or Elden Ring. But a lot of the time there's a lot more vibrancy to the colors of like Final Fantasy X. It just has this dreamlike character. And there really isn't much out there that looks like this game. And of course, there is a world map that, it just elevates the whole experience. It makes such a difference when seeing all this crazy style in the art direction, and then you get to wander around it, or look up into the sky at your leisure and turn the camera on and see it. And man, that world map theme paired with the visuals, it's just a freaking treat to experience. The world map theme does change, but there's a specific one. Every time I just hear it, I feel like sadness and melancholy, but hope at the same time. It's amazing. Now, I am praising the visuals quite a bit. I do think sometimes the character models look a little wonky, a little off, not uncanny to an extent, but just once in a while look a little strange. And continuing with that line of thought, no, this is not a better game because it ditches the anime art style. This conceptual design, the art direction, the style, we'll say, would still be freaking awesome with a more Japanese art direction. Honestly, I want to see that, so please make that out there, who's ever listening. I think this did help catch people's attention that weren't as familiar with the genre or were off-put by the genre because of the visuals, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think you're missing out on a lot of amazing experiences, but that is what it is. And then maybe those people did play it because they were wrapped up in, oh, woo, this is getting really good review scores, it looks awesome, and it's got an interesting battle system, and they found out it was for them, and then they're excited to find out more. My job, or our job, is to guide them to other games in the genre. You talk with them, you figure out what they liked about this one, and not just having the mindset, oh, they only love this one because it's mainstream, to an extent, and it's not anime. Well, we don't know that unless we ask and find out. Something to think about. I love the fact that we might have a lot of new people playing this type of genre, and whoa, there's a wealth of games to show them. All right, that little tangent aside, the world rules. There's a great sense of exploration and scale, and the areas you run into are a feast for the eyes. Walking, running, or gliding across the terrain without a minimap seems to have caused some concerns, but honestly, that little bit never bothered me particularly. There are enough tells in the environment to get a sense of direction, but I do believe a toggleable feature could have been added to help others. I liked this bit of immersion, kind of getting lost in the world. Maybe I wouldn't like it if I did get lost more, though. I don't love the checkpoint flag system. Well, I do love the whole concept of planting a flag for an expedition. I just don't like the naming that they come up with, because trying to go back to a point for a collectible or to face off against a stronger enemy that I left aside for the time being, sometimes I can't remember where the certain flag was in relation in that dungeon. So individual area maps, I suppose, would have helped this, or maybe even that pesky missing minimap. But I wasn't really thinking about that too much because I was walking around an area that looks like you're underwater. Freaking genius. Also, the village of the automaton race, just wonderful. Oh my gosh. And floating tiers of crumbling buildings and spears of golden light littered along the landscape, just perfection. Now, the world definitely looks different than most JRPGs. And there's another difference too, and that is the general age of the party. Our main guy, Optimistic Gustav, is 33. That's like ancient to retro JRPGs.
There was a time when 30 was young, you know.
Sure.
This smaller cast of characters, which is my preference generally in RPGs of this nature, has a lot going for it. Don't worry, you still get the younger person, a determined 16-year-old male.
Or he'd be super happy because we're sending them soaring on fun little adventures.
The gifted, more reserved Lune.
I feel everything, and I let it burn inside me.
The playful Ciel.
Wow. We're in the middle of nowhere with 1 year left to live. What better time to build friendships?
The mysterious Verso.
Because it's private. And it's painful and it's none of your business.
And the cantankerous Minoko.
I will never show you weakness ever again.
Each has their role in the story, some more prominent than others, but this gaggle of members is a mix of fun, a bit of clashing of ideals overall, and they all have varied backgrounds. Even if most of them have a common goal from the onset of this adventure, take down the paintress, it kind of makes sense. Like all good things though, some of that will change with the introduction of other NPC characters and further story revelations. I won't go into spoiler territory, don't worry, but some of the twists are very unexpected. What I think makes this game shine with these particular characters is the lack, for the most part, of the one-note characters.
I just need the foot. Aha!
Take Verso, for example. He's portrayed as the silent, mysterious man type, like many RPGs before, He's got the gray-white streaks in his hair, a little bit older like our boy Auron from Final Fantasy X, and he's kind of a guiding figure when the party members are looking for direction. But he's given a chance of levity from the other characters like Eske and Minoko. A little bit of shine instead of his more silent brooding type.
Or we embrace the challenge and pick the one in the east.
I like your spirit.
Thank you.
Did you listen to what I just said?
There's also this hidden sadness that comes out in certain scenes. This is expertly driven home by the actor who did the motion capture, which I'll let him say his name correctly because I love how this all breaks down.
For everyone, how do you pronounce your name? We were just talking off air, but please give me the beautiful...
Well, the French way would be Maxence Cazorla. And if I had to say it in an English way, I would say Maxence Cazorla. Or if you go full Spanish, it would be Cazorla. But yeah, you got options.
The amount of emotion in this motion capture and the way that Verso looks and moves, it's just excellent. And then you have the depth that Ben Starr's performance brings to weave together lines with such grace.
No, you don't get touching me on family.
I absolutely loved his performance as Clive in Final Fantasy 16, but I think this is a work of art. And that combo together, whoo boy. So I think if you like this one character, I think with a sprawling adventure such as this, you're going to be right at home. I think Expedition 33 handles most of their characters pretty well, and this is the tiers I put them in. At the very top is Verso and Mael. Middle is Gustav and Lune. And then the bottom tier is Ciel and Minoko for me. That's how I would rank them, with the combination of the conversations you get to have, their character development over the course of the game, and a personal attachment. But my favorite characters by a long shot are Verso, Mael, and a surprising third, Minoko. Lune was definitely in that running for a while, but I ended up picking those three at the end as I wrapped up the extra content, and there's just too many cool scenes between Minoko and Verso that he had to be there. They're almost like two peas in a pod.
Out of the question. I will never join you again.
There will be a lot of fighting, though.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's true.
There will be a lot of fighting.
Exactly.
Count me in then.
Good.
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 Yes, good.
Probably one of my favorite aspects is the take on the villains in this story. And that really does coincide with the Paintress and what they've done to this world and how it all plays out at the end. And it comes down to the characters themselves. And I do love that we get the grand scope and then we get the nice smaller scale scope as well. I love having a balance of both. A lot of people have said Expedition 33's battle system isn't anything new, that it only feels exciting if you've never played a JRPG before. And okay, I get why someone might think that. After all, turn-based combat has been around for decades. I've been playing them for decades. But here's the thing. I think it's a system that keeps you constantly engaged, whether you're a newcomer or veteran like me. And that is all you can ask for. Yes, timing-based combat in turn-based RPGs is nothing new. We've seen it in Super Mario RPG, Land of the Seven Stars, where hitting a button at the right time boosted your attacks or reduced the damage taken. We saw this evolve in Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, where you could just straight up jump over attacks and take no damage, which is definitely more akin to this game. Back in the PS1 days, we saw complex inputs in The Legend of Dragoon rewarding you for committing attack patterns to that good old muscle memory. So no, Expedition 33 isn't inventing timing inputs, and that is okay. I don't like the idea that every game has to reinvent turn-based combat. I want more games to hold back on that aspect and change other approaches. I mean, Expedition 33 didn't take any positioning mechanic, which is great. I don't think it would work with what the final product turned out to be. Or it didn't take after what a lot of indie RPGs are doing, which is healing after every single battle. Or combo attacks. Or defending lets you gain health. Please, more RPGs use this mechanic in the future. Thank you, Legend of Dragoon. There's a long list of things they didn't include, as well as ones they borrowed from other RPGs. Though I generally can't think of another JRPG where you can actively parry every single incoming attack and convert that into damage while still maintaining a bit of that traditional turn-based combat.
Easy to parry.
This one particular element kind of fuses with everything else that came before. The dodge mechanic, the parry mechanic, the time button presses. It blends offense and defense in a way that feels fluid and pretty natural. Familiar, but also fresh. And honestly, it comes down to being a smart evolution instead of a total overhaul. Now, of course, with this battle system itself, it's going to come under criticism. And some things I've seen boil down to there's no strategy. You just dodge or parry, and that's it.
This expedition is gloomy.
And this is one of my favorite spots of Contention because when you break it down, it makes absolutely no sense. The main game mechanic of battle is the dodging and parrying of combat, at least on the defensive side. The strategy is remembering the attack patterns of all these enemies and knowing when you want to go for the parry to do the extra damage or when to use the less stringent dodge. With each new enemy you encounter, you have to learn the patterns to either dodge or parry. Now, once you learn those, then yes, you are no longer doing anything new, and you could maybe come to the conclusion the strategy does stagnate on the defensive end. Granted, you have to remember that pattern and execute it correctly when it's the enemy's turn again the next go-around. But yes, technically, the strategy is over. You figured it out. You memorized it. That doesn't mean the work of learning the patterns is magically meaningless because you've overcome it or you just choose to ignore it. Should you not use elemental weaknesses on enemies because it takes away, what, the difficulty? That's like if you find the weakness of an enemy type to a certain element and saying, well, this game no longer has strategic depth, I figured out what their weakness is, and I'm only going to use that ability on them now. Like you should, right? That makes sense. That's like saying, Waka, see that flying enemy over there? I know you do the best damage to it, and you most likely are going to hit it. You can no longer throw your ball at it. If you want to break it down even smaller, sure, the strategy is parrying and dodging. But that doesn't include the offensive, how you set up your entire characters, and what you can do by choosing to dodge or parry. It's just a strange argument. But that's okay, because you will totally forget about silly opinions when listening to this music. Man, the soundtrack in this game is just freaking outrageous. And I don't even know French. Man, it really does elevate a lot of the fights. Every boss track is just a rush. Every emotional swell lands just a little bit harder because of it. This is for sure going on that playlist of JRPG battle themes that go way too hard in the best of ways. And that's a list that includes some of the all-time greats. Even if for some reason you are not going to play this game, do yourself a favor and at least go listen to the soundtrack. But back to battling. I love that this game lets you choose your stubbornness level. Difficulty in Expedition 33 is fascinating because it starts off manageable and then gradually tests how well you've actually learned the system. A somewhat early boss, this dude, is a pretty nice litmus test on how you've been adjusting to the battle system. What I do like about the overall feel is there are some enemy types that I encountered where I was like, you know what? I'm not going to learn this parry routine. I'm going to try my best to dodge and hopefully not get hit enough so I can then heal on my next turn. They do something toward the end of the game where a lot of the newer areas you get access to, the enemies will just obliterate you. So you have to sift through where you think the game wants you to explore or an area where you might think the enemies might be closer to your level. There's also that tantalizing tidbit of seeing a big enemy in the sky, or more particularly in my case, in the sea, where I had to challenge them. I was stubborn, going back at least 3 different times, getting defeated, trying a couple of times, over and over, getting defeated again and again, leaving to explore new areas, coming back and trying to learn the patterns of this frickin' boss. That was totally optional, but it was staring me in the face when I needed to do it. And then finally, feeling that absolute satisfaction of overcoming a strong enemy by leveling up and changing around my Pictos setup. We'll get into this. That's the good stuff. That's the JRPG satisfaction loop that, as someone who's been playing this genre for a long time loves to see. And then, of course, there is Stonewall isn't even the appropriate term for this person. The godlike wall for people who want to chase that platinum, want that 100% completion. There are some very, very challenging endgame bosses. One especially, the final optional boss. It's not always my thing to chase the 100% completion in RPGs, but man, was this one freaking worth it. That final optional boss fight. Absolutely ridiculous in the best of ways. Another element that I find very enjoyable in this game is the Pictos system as a whole. Pictos are kind of like materia from Final Fantasy VII, or if you're younger, materia from Final Fantasy VII Remake, or maybe you're a bit of both. Whatever the case, you have an item that you pick up that lets you unlock skills that can be mastered for other people in your party to then use. Kind of like a malleable micro job system. These Pictos are mainly passive abilities or types with more of an A-B correlation. If you do this, then this will happen. If you put burn on an enemy, this Picto will increase the duration. And there is a very long list of Pictos that you can pick up and experiment with. Towards the end of the game, I was having my core trio party members have almost identical Picto setups, but there was a lot of experimentation in various setups getting to that point. And what I did love about this system, when I found a new Picto, I didn't necessarily try it out right away. Once I found a few that worked in conjunction with the one I just picked up, that's when I kind of started to fiddle with my character builds. Most RPGs have systems with this type of customization, or at least the ones I spend enough time with to learn, so this feels right at home for me. And then you add on weapons, changing how you activate different conditions to set up your stronger skills, and more fun passive abilities to make you think of builds. There are also various party synergies and how certain characters can boost the overall destructive power of another character. There's a lot here. And it breaks down to this. This is just a recipe for customization fun. And that is the name of the game in JRPG land. Not everything is all uplifting, though. I have sprinkled in some negatives, but here's a couple more. Just by the nature of the battle system, you have to be on for every single battle you partake in. There's no relaxing while you're trying to grind Pictos or level up your characters. The active time button press combat just makes it essential that you have to be focused. And sometimes I don't want that. I want to play the game, I just don't want to be that tied in. I want to, lean back in the couch a little bit. Relax. This game, that's really not an option for the most part. Unreal Engine 5 has its hijinks. There's some clipping or some weird jerking motions from time to time. They weren't super prevalent, but I definitely did notice them. Is that going to break the experience? I don't think so. Going off that nature, they can feel a bit floaty and imprecise when trying to do some light platforming. It's not the worst I've experienced, but they're definitely better out there as well. And if you're not trying to do all the content, you don't even have to engage with most of the platforming. I do believe there are probably some pacing issues towards the late game that I'm unsure are an issue for myself in particular, but I can see where it could be for others. They do a certain choice in the story, but I think it's for the better. And hopping off that note, this game is shorter, which some people would think that is an exciting new thing. They got plenty of games to play. But if you're just trying to experience the story and not do any of the optional content, you will get through it pretty quickly. But if you want all the things, take your time. A lot of game here for you. And to end cap this, which I think is a positive, but definitely not everybody thinks that. The ending. Paired with some twists that happen later in the game, they make some bold choices that are definitely going to be divisive no matter what. I'm on the side that enjoyed each twist for what it was worth and enjoyed the ending a freaking lot, actually. So with that one, you're going to vary on how you perceive a story and what you think is the better payoff in certain situations and just kind of the whole vibe of everything. But, ooh, I thought it was done very well.
What? No, we have a mission!
Oh, fuck the mission! Fuck the mission, Lune! What are we gonna do, huh? Tell me. What are we gonna do? We're gonna take down the paintress, just the three of us? My gun and your sparks?
I didn't take you for a coward.
I'm not a coward.
You swore the oath. When one falls, we continue.
Yes, I know.
When one falls. When one falls. Not if. When. We knew not all of us would make it. But we continue. As long as even one of us stands, our fight is not over.
So sometimes a polarizing RPG comes along and dominates the conversation. And then when the long-term fans of the genre, someone like me, could potentially be annoyed when there are so many other good RPGs that came out before this game. And there are elements from those RPGs that are better than this game. For example, check out Metaphor ReFantasio for one of the best villains to ever exist. There's nothing close in this game to that villain. Check out Xenoblade Chronicles 3 for a cast of characters that as a unit are better than anything Expedition 33 has to offer as well. Check out Trails in the Sky First Chapter for a battle system that's as strategic and more fun, in my opinion, as this one. Though it doesn't have the active elements minus one timing button press thing, so it's kind of a moot point, but you know where I'm going with this. Check out Breath of Fire 4 for a better art style direction, because that pixel art is beyond gorgeous. The animations, just what the heck. And I could go on and on making cases for JRPGs that have elements better than this game. But there's a flip side. There are many games that are inferior to the overall package that Clair Obscur Expedition 33 brings. I have played a lot of RPGs, a lot of JRPGs in particular. This is one of the better RPGs that I've gotten to experience.
Now come over here and let's snuggle.
It's an entire package. It has everything that I come to this genre for. A unique art style, a battle system that kept me engaged and just being fun to play, a great grouping of characters with, of course, my favorite standouts, with a much different world setting than the current one I live in, and a story I care about. Expedition 33 checks all the boxes and sometimes goes even beyond it with its incredible OST. I'm no stranger to JRPGs, and I can say with confidence that it's worth your time whether you are new to the genre or a veteran like myself. This is the type of game I look forward to playing in a genre that promises a grand adventure. And to me, it delivered. Give Expedition 33 a shot. It doesn't reinvent the wheel, but it doesn't need to. It stands tall amongst the greats of the genre. And hey, while you're here, if you want more deep dives into RPGs in particular, well, there's a playlist on this channel. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this. Subscribe if you want to keep up to date with all the videos we have coming. I did mention Breath of Fire 4 having an incredible art style. And, you can go check that video out on this channel. So hopefully you find a way to another video of ours. And just a reminder, be kind out there.
And a white hand, trust me. You won't even see me, I'm running so fast.
Oh, please, you're an old man. I can outrun you any day.
Yeah, right.